Welcome, but not those incurable. King George, Queen Hoover, criminally insane, masturbating hypocrites. I have to present that as that's what the age they are. From the ridiculous to the sublime. This is a presentation from a philosophical viewpoint at the highest level to and for intellectuals. Now, we mentioned about explorers as far as in a discipline of who was the best in history. And we get to cosmology. Now, in the discipline of cosmology, cosmology is from the Greek word cosmos, meaning the whole world, and logia, cosmologia, means story of, logia, story of. So it's the study of the origin, development, and present day opinions as to how, when, where, and why of its continuation. We present Christian Wolff, W-O-L-F-F. He first put forth the discipline per the publication Cosmology Generalis. Then there's Edwin Hubble. And then there's Christian Doppler. We select Christian Wolff. Now, in the next discipline, we will get to those in political science. That should be at least interesting. Now let's get to, from a viewpoint of philosophy, critically, what is correct? The best? Well, you have to start from previous history. And when we think about what's today, well, they emphasize science. Science is so important. Modern science, futuristic science. Well, from before, the history of science is a continuation, a constant continuation of correcting or improving or at least refining previous opinions of scientists. You understand? Now, it was established by Galileo. He actually took and was able to calculate, he put forward per velocity equals distance over time. He put forward proof of sound waves go through a medium of air, which is, our atmosphere. Some say space. Because he found out that if the medium was in his direction, there was less time. So the sound wave was at a velocity plus whatever the medium was. You understand? if it was in the opposite direction, it took more time. So he then said that x prime equals x plus or minus vt. Okay? So what he was saying is that you have these sound waves, this is their velocity, v equals e over t, and it depends on the difference of time, depends if it's plus or minus the motion of the medium. Well, now, then light waves are waves. Well, they must have a medium. Well, they figured it was the atmosphere, just, and this is what they had in the textbooks, and this is what they taught, and established, that's it. But they couldn't find this medium. They called it aether. And some began to doubt, saying, well, we can't find it, maybe it isn't there. Now, to show you how important maybe your philosophical opinion is, and what you can obtain by it and what occurs, is that they had all these books and they were teaching in the universities at all levels, PhDs and postdoctorate and so forth, that there has to be a medium for waves. But seeing they couldn't find this medium, some began to say, well, maybe there isn't a medium. Maybe light just traverses space, called a void. It just traverses the void. Void meaning there's nothing there. So one of these who wanted to get a position as a teacher at the university said, well, it seems, and he had now, understand this, he was brought into the Swiss Patent Office by Michael Beso, because they say you can't prove that Einstein was a plagiarist because he never gave a reference. But if you really scrutinize all of the inside facts, true facts, you find out that Olivia Merrick signed in her Slavic name. She only did that on official documents on the original 1905 papers, and she was a mathematician that was a real good friend of Hermann Minkowski, who helped Einstein with his mathematics in the 1905 papers. Absolutely. And Olivia Merrick worked for Leonard, who had proven, shown, and displayed the photoelectric effect. Understand the true facts. Now, in the patent office, Michael Beso reviewed those. In Switzerland, they don't have a Swiss language. They speak French, German, or Italian. So Michael Beso reviewed all the work in Italian or German, because German was the official language. Einstein would review those in German or Italian. He lived in northern Italy and went to school there and was fluent in Italian. I understand those true facts. So he had developed then an experience and ability to say these are what all of the smartest scientists in the world are bringing into the Swiss Patent Office, and I look at them and I decide which one I say is actually proven. We can say, yes, this is proven, so we can use that. So he had experience from some of the best scientists and those with ideas about if there was aether or if there wasn't. And more were saying there's no aether, so he said there's no aether. From that fact, he then was able to represent Lorentz's work, Poincare's work, Philip Leonard's work, Olinto de Petro, the most important, Olinto de Petro put E equals mv squared, and that's exactly as Einstein copied it, because Michael Beso is Olinto de Petro's cousin. His brother worked with, I think, Michael Beso's father, you see, and they had a little club, and they would show, Olinto de Petro would show Einstein his work of E equals mv squared, what it was, what it meant, get this enormous energy, V being the velocity of light. Later, they changed the V to C, equals mc squared. And they say, oh, Einstein put forward equals mc squared. They don't know what they're talking about. He never wrote that. He copied de Petro, which was E equals mv squared. Then they say equals mc squared, so they say, oh, Einstein put forward E equals mc squared. You see? Those are the true facts. Now, you have to understand that from a point of view then. Einstein says there is no A either, and with that, they were able to say, well, look, he's better than the others because there is no A either, wasn't it? It was better that the others still had to or would teach that there was the medium of an A ether. You understand? Now, he then took and said, well, and I'll move forward, fast forward. If anybody should put forward then the field equations for general relativity, it should be him, Einstein. That's, of course, what everybody figured, and he tried. But Einstein flunked mathematics, and that's how he went into physics, by insisting of his girlfriend, Olivia Merrick, at the time, and Hermann Minkowski. So he went into science. And what he did then is to constantly try to keep abreast of anybody that was working on it, which was David Hilbert. David Hilbert was considered the best mathematician in the world, or definitely one of the best. So David Hilbert, then when he started to work on it, he came up with the field equations and published them. 3 days later, because Einstein kept in touch with Hilbert and others, and Hilbert sent him a copy. 3 days later, in a lecture in his class, on the board, he put exactly what David Hilbert had put down. And those who propagandize and want Einstein to be, for ethnic reasons especially, oh, he's the smartest, you see. And that's what they got away with and have been. The greatest facade is that Einstein is the world's greatest plagiarist. He stole E equals mv squared equals mc squared from Olinto de Petro. No, why wasn't de Petro standing up and saying? Because in a lover's quarrel, he was shot and killed. Instead of some lady in a lover's quarrel shot and killed him. So then when things became famous, he wasn't there. He said a true fact. Now let's backtrack a little bit. In that Lorentz said, quote, it appears as though the equations I have been working with, on my philosophical opinion, that all mass is maybe a collection of electrons. Notice he said he went from not only atoms, which they were talking about and considering, to the electron. So you have, like in hydrogen, where you have a proton and an electron, or a proton and a neutron and an electron, or a proton, neutron, and neutron and an electron. The electron is roughly, because this is going to philosophical decision of what is correct, not on exact 0.00001 accuracy of calculations. He goes, what, 1897 an electron is that of a proton? You see, it doesn't matter the exact amount. It's, notice the difference in the amount of mass that Lorentz is talking about. And that is that everything maybe is just electrons. That's significant, philosophical point of view, in my opinion. From that, he worked with mathematics, and Lorentz was a real intellectual in general science, physics, mathematics, languages. I think he spoke 6 languages. I barely can speak one, that, and I have a heck of a time trying to spell guttural English. It's not spelled like you pronounce the word, and exceptions, etc. Now, so from that, now that established of his transformation equations, you see, in his opinion of using these, is that it appeared to him as though that contraction that he would get in the mathematical calculations he used and came up with, he was working towards the motion of electrons in space, in the universe. He said, well, we can use that, substituting it temporarily to maybe explaining the contraction they're getting when, as far as when they measure something with its velocity is going at a greater velocity than, say, at Galileo's time. Now we're talking about velocities approaching the velocity of light, which is in the nuclear physics of particles that go equal to or close to the velocity of light. Einstein, to make it official, decreed that that C light, 17 minutes. 17 minutes. It's going to be 18 minutes. So this will be part 1. He decreed that light has to be the ultimate universal velocity. Now fast forward, going into the next part about yours truly saying no one can decree what is the ultimate velocity, and that there is velocities, an increment, and certainly greater than the velocity of light. And once you break the light barrier, as I insisted and proved to him, and he accepted, and that is my capital C transformation equation. Capital C equals capital C plus or minus VT over the square root of 1 minus V squared over C squared. I now say plus or minus, but I used to say minus just to avoid unnecessary mishmash conversation. Now we'll have to go to part 2, please. Thank you.